You think you know what angels look like: beautiful beings with white wings and golden halos, gentle messengers dressed in flowing robes, watching over humanity with serene smiles. That's what the paintings show. That's what the churches teach. But what if that image is a lie? What if the true appearance of angels is something so far beyond human expectation that seeing one would shatter your understanding of reality itself? The story I'm about to share will challenge everything you believe about the divine beings religions have described for thousands of years. This is not about faith. This is not about comfort. This is about what one woman witnessed when a being from beyond our world showed her the terrifying, awe-inspiring, deeply unsettling truth about what angels actually are. I must warn you, what you're about to hear will not be easy. The real nature of these beings is nothing like the greeting cards and stained glass windows. It is stranger, more powerful, and far more disturbing than any religion has prepared you for, but it is also more magnificent than you can possibly imagine. If you've ever wondered why biblical accounts describe people falling to the ground in terror when angels appeared, if you've ever sensed that the sanitized version of celestial beings was hiding something far more profound, this story will finally give you the answer. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because what happened to Elena Vasquez in rural Oregon will reveal why humanity was never meant to see angels as they truly are. Now let me tell you how it all began. Coos Bay, Oregon, January 8th, 11:23 p.m. The storm had knocked out power 3 hours ago, and Elena Vasquez sat alone in her farmhouse, listening to the wind tear at the walls. At 51, she had learned to be comfortable with darkness. 26 years as a hospice nurse had taught her that darkness wasn't something to fear. It was simply where things went when the light was done with them. She lit another candle and placed it on the kitchen table beside the others. The flickering light cast strange shadows across the room, making the familiar space feel ancient and unknown. Outside, rain hammered against the windows in waves, and somewhere in the distance thunder rolled across the mountains. Elena didn't mind storms. She had chosen this isolated property specifically because it was far from people, far from hospitals, far from the endless parade of death she had witnessed for more than 2 decades. She had quit nursing 18 months ago. Not retired, quit, walked out in the middle of a shift and never went back. Her colleagues thought she had finally burned out. Compassion fatigue, they called it, the inevitable erosion of empathy that came from watching too many people die. But that wasn't why Elena left. She left because of what she had started seeing. It began about 2 years before she quit. Small things at first. Movements in her peripheral vision when she was with dying patients. Shadows that didn't match the objects casting them. A sense of presence in rooms that should have been empty, except for her and whoever was approaching the end. Elena had dismissed it initially. Exhaustion, stress, the psychological toll of her work manifesting in minor hallucinations. She had seen colleagues experience similar things over the years. It came with the territory. But then the experiences intensified. She started seeing figures standing near the beds of patients in their final hours. Tall figures, luminous, not quite solid. They didn't look like people. They didn't look like anything she had words for. They were there, and then they weren't, and the patients would die moments after Elena glimpsed them. She never told anyone. How could she? A hospice nurse claiming to see beings hovering over dying patients would be sent for psychiatric evaluation. Her career would be over, her credibility destroyed, so she kept silent. She did her job. She held hands and administered medication and spoke softly to people transitioning out of life. And she watched from the corner of her eye as those impossible figures appeared again and again. The final straw came with Margaret Chen, 87 years old, ovarian cancer, a tiny woman with a fierce spirit who had fought death with everything she had until the very end. Elena was alone with Margaret when it happened. The old woman's breathing had slowed. Her eyes were closed. By all medical indicators, she had minutes left at most. And then Margaret's eyes flew open, and she looked at something over Elena's shoulder, and her face transformed. Not with fear, with awe, with recognition. "Oh," Margaret whispered. "Oh, it's you. I didn't know you would be so..." She never finished the sentence. She simply stopped breathing, a smile on her face. her eyes still fixed on something Elena couldn't quite see. But this time, Elena did see. She turned around, and for just a fraction of a second she glimpsed it. It was not beautiful. It was not gentle. It was not anything that belonged in greeting cards or church windows. It was vast and terrible and made of geometries that hurt to perceive. It had eyes, too many eyes, and wings, if you could call them that, and light that wasn't light. Elena screamed. She fell backward over a chair. And when she looked again, there was nothing there. She quit the next week, moved to Oregon, bought this farmhouse with her savings, tried to forget what she had seen. But you don't forget something like that. You carry it. You turn it over in your mind during sleepless nights. You wonder if you're insane, if you witnessed something real, or if your brain had simply broken under the weight of too much death. Elena had spent 18 months in this farmhouse, reading everything she could find about deathbed visions, about angels, about the beings that religions claimed existed beyond human perception. None of it matched what she had seen. The angels in books were comforting, humanoid, approachable. What she had glimpsed was none of those things. Now, sitting in candlelight while the storm raged outside, Elena heard something beneath the wind, a sound that didn't belong. Not thunder, not falling branches, something else. A crash from the barn. Her first instinct was to ignore it. Probably debris blown by the wind. Nothing worth going out into a January storm to investigate. But the sound came again. And again. Rhythmic. Almost like something pounding, or something trying to get her attention. Elena grabbed her raincoat and a flashlight. She told herself she was being foolish. The barn probably had a loose board banging in the wind. She would secure it and come back inside and try to sleep. She didn't believe herself. Something in that sound called to her, the same way the figures in hospital rooms had called to her without speaking. A pull that bypassed rational thought entirely. She stepped out into the storm. The wind nearly knocked her down. Rain lashed her face, cold and sharp. She fought her way across the yard, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness until she reached the barn door. The sound had stopped. Elena stood there, hand on the door, heart pounding. Every instinct screamed at her to go back inside, to lock the farmhouse door, to pretend she had never heard anything. Instead, she pulled the barn door open. Her flashlight illuminated hay bales, old equipment, the tractor she never used. Normal, ordinary. And then the beam caught something in the far corner, a figure, crumpled on the ground, not moving. Elena's breath caught. She stepped closer, flashlight trembling in her hand. It wasn't human. That much was immediately clear. Too tall, too thin, skin that seemed to shimmer between gray and silver. And something was wrong with it. Wounds, damage, some kind of suit or second skin that was torn and leaking something that glowed faintly blue. The figure stirred, a head turned toward her. Large dark eyes opened and fixed on her face, and then a voice filled her mind. Not her ears, her mind. Please, I am injured. I need help. And in return, I will show you what you glimpsed 18 months ago. I will show you what angels truly are, and why the truth has been hidden from your kind since the beginning. Elena stood in her barn, rain pouring through the open door behind her, staring at an impossible being who somehow knew exactly what she had been running from. And despite every rational objection her mind could raise, she knew she wasn't going to walk away. Elena stood frozen, the flashlight beam fixed on the wounded being. Rain soaked through her coat, dripped down her face, but she didn't notice. Her entire world had narrowed to the impossible creature lying on the hay-covered floor of her barn. "How do you know?" she whispered. "How do you know what I saw?" "We observe. We have observed your species for a very long time, and we have observed you specifically, Elena Vasquez, since the moment you began seeing beyond the veil that separates your perception from deeper reality." "The figures at the hospital. The thing I saw when Margaret died. That was real?" "It was real. More real than most things you have experienced in your physical existence. You have a gift, Elena. An ability to perceive frequencies that most humans cannot. It is rare, and it is why I came to you tonight." Elena took a cautious step closer. Her nursing instincts were activating despite her fear. The being was clearly injured. The suit, or whatever it was, had multiple tears. The blue luminescent fluid was pooling beneath the creature, soaking into the hay. "You're hurt badly," she said. "What happened to you?" "An accident. My vessel was damaged passing through your atmosphere. The emergency systems brought me to the nearest compatible consciousness. To you." "Compatible consciousness? I don't understand." "You will. But first, I need your help. The suit that protects me from your environment is failing. Without repair, I will not survive more than a few hours. You have skills, medical training, hands that have healed many." Elena laughed, a sound that came out slightly hysterical. "I'm a nurse, not an alien mechanic. I have no idea how to fix whatever that suit is made of. The principles are similar to what you know. Seal the breaches. Stop the loss of vital fluid. The suit will do the rest if given time. I can guide you." Elena looked at the being, at the damage, at the strange technology that was somehow both organic and mechanical. Every rational part of her brain screamed that this was insane. She should call someone. The police, the military, scientists, anyone but a retired hospice nurse living alone in the middle of nowhere. But another part of her, the part that had seen things she couldn't explain, the part that had been searching for answers for 18 months, that part wanted something else entirely. "You said you would show me," Elena said slowly, "what angels really are, what I saw in that hospital room." "Yes. Help me survive this night, and I will show you truths your species has never been permitted to see. The nature of the beings you call angels, their purpose, their true form, and why the knowledge has been hidden from humanity since your consciousness first awakened." "Why would that be hidden? Why would anyone hide the truth about angels?" "Because the truth is not comforting. It is not what your religions have promised. It is vast and strange, and challenges everything humanity believes about its place in the cosmos. Some truths are hidden to protect, others are hidden to control. The truth about angels is hidden for both reasons." Elena's heart was pounding. She thought about all the nights she had lain awake, trying to make sense of what she had glimpsed, trying to reconcile the terrifying, incomprehensible things she had seen with the gentle guardian angels of her Catholic childhood. "I need to know," she said finally. "I've needed to know since the moment I saw it. It's been eating me alive." "Then we have an agreement. Your help for my truth." Elena set down her flashlight and knelt beside the being. Up close, she could see more details. The skin had a texture unlike anything she had encountered, smooth, but not quite solid. The large dark eyes watched her with an intelligence that was clearly not human, but somehow not threatening. "Tell me what to do," she said. "The tears in the outer membrane must be sealed first. The material will bond with itself if the edges are brought together and held, like your stitches, but without thread." Elena examined the largest tear. The edges of the material did seem to want to connect. When she gently pressed them together, they fused slowly, like watching a wound heal in fast forward. "This is incredible," she murmured. "The technology—" "It is not technology as you understand it. It is grown, not built. Living material designed to interface with biological systems. Your scientists will understand it eventually, but not for many generations yet." She worked methodically, moving from wound to wound, sealing each tear while the being lay still and guided her telepathically. The blue fluid stopped leaking. The suit began to glow more steadily. "The storm is getting worse," Elena said, glancing toward the barn door still hanging open. "Can you be moved? My house would be warmer, more protected." "Yes. The immediate crisis has passed. I can walk with assistance." Elena helped the being to its feet. It was taller than she expected, easily 7 feet and surprisingly light. They moved through the rain together, Elena supporting the creature's weight until they reached the farmhouse. Inside, she settled the being on the couch in her living room. The candles still burned, casting their flickering light across a scene that belonged in fever dreams, not in the home of a retired nurse. Elena sat in the chair across from her strange patient, watching the suit continue its self-repair process now that the breaches were sealed. "You're going to be okay," she said. It came out automatically, the same words she had spoken to countless patients over the years. "Yes. Thanks to you. The suit will restore full function within a few hours, and then I will keep my promise." "Can you tell me anything now, about what I saw, about what angels really are?" The being was silent for a moment. Those dark eyes studied her with something that might have been compassion. What you saw in that hospital room was real, Elena, but it was not what your religions call an angel. Or rather, it was what your religions attempted to describe as an angel, but failed to capture accurately. The beings you glimpsed are not servants of a human-like God sitting on a throne in heaven. They are something far older, far stranger, and far more essential to the fabric of existence itself. Elena leaned forward. What are they? They are the architects of consciousness, the shapers of souls, the beings who guide awareness from one state of existence to another. What you witnessed at the moment of Margaret Chen's death was a transfer, a consciousness being received by entities whose purpose is to facilitate the transition between dimensions of being. That sounds like angels, like what angels are supposed to do. The function is similar, the form is not. Your religions created images of angels that human minds could accept, wings and halos and human faces, beautiful guardians watching over humanity. But the true form of these beings is nothing like those images, and when humans accidentally perceive them as they actually are, the experience is not comforting. It is overwhelming. It is terrifying. It is what you experienced. Elena remembered the fraction of a second when she had glimpsed the thing behind her, the geometries that hurt to perceive, the eyes that were too many, the wings that weren't wings. Why? She asked. Why would divine beings look like that? Why would God create angels that terrify people? Because they were not created to be seen by humans. They were not created for your comfort. They were created to perform functions that exist far beyond human comprehension. Their form reflects their purpose, and their purpose operates on scales that your physical senses were never designed to perceive. The being shifted on the couch, its strength visibly returning. Rest now, Elena. Let me heal. And when the storm passes, I will show you what I promised. Not just tell you, show you, so that you can understand what angels truly are and why that truth matters for your species right now more than ever before. Elena wanted to argue, to demand answers immediately, but exhaustion was catching up with her, and the being clearly needed rest to complete its healing. She leaned back in her chair, watching the candles flicker, listening to the storm rage outside. In a few hours, she would see the truth she had been searching for since that moment in Margaret Chen's room. She didn't know if she was ready. She suspected she wasn't, but she had waited 18 months. She could wait a few more hours. Elena woke to silence. The storm had passed. Gray morning light filtered through the windows, and for a moment, she thought she had dreamed everything. Then she turned her head and saw the being sitting upright on her couch, fully healed, watching her with those impossible dark eyes. "You're awake," she said, her voice rough with sleep. "Yes, the suit has restored full function. I am ready to fulfill my promise." Elena sat up in the chair where she had fallen asleep. Her body ached from the awkward position, but her mind was suddenly completely alert. "How are you going to show me what angels really are?" "I will share perception with you. For a brief time, you will see through senses beyond your physical eyes. You will perceive frequencies that humans normally cannot access. It will be disorienting, possibly frightening, but it will not harm you. Like a vision? A hallucination? Like reality. A deeper layer of reality that exists alongside the one you normally perceive. Your brain filters out most of what exists, because processing it all would overwhelm your consciousness. I will temporarily remove that filter." Elena's heart began to race. This was what she had wanted, what she had needed since the moment in Margaret's room. But now that it was here, she felt terror creeping up her spine. "Will it be like what I saw before? That fraction of a second?" "Yes, but sustained, and with context that will help you understand what you are seeing." "And it was that bad. Just a glimpse nearly broke me." "That is because you had no framework for understanding. You saw without comprehension. This time I will guide you. I will explain as you perceive. The experience will still be overwhelming, but it will not be meaningless." Elena took a deep breath, then another. She thought about 18 months of sleepless nights, 18 months of questioning her sanity, 18 months of needing to know. "Okay," she said, "I'm ready. Come closer. I need to touch your forehead to establish the perceptual link." Elena moved to the couch and sat beside the being. Up close, she could see that the suit had indeed fully healed. No sign of the tears she had sealed hours earlier. The technology, or whatever it was, had completely regenerated. The being raised one long, slender hand and placed it gently against Elena's forehead. The touch was cool and smooth, and there was a faint tingling sensation that spread across her skull. Close your eyes. When you open them, you will see differently. Elena closed her eyes. She felt a strange pressure building behind them, not painful but intense, like something was adjusting inside her brain, tuning to a different frequency. Now open them. She opened her eyes, and the world exploded. Everything was still there. Her living room, the couch, the windows with gray light streaming through, but layered over it, woven through it, was something else entirely. Light that wasn't light, movement that wasn't movement, patterns so complex they made her eyes water just trying to follow them. "Oh God," she gasped. "Oh my God." "Breathe. Focus on my voice. What you are seeing is the energetic substrate of physical reality, the field of consciousness that underlies all matter. Most humans never perceive this. You are seeing it now." Elena tried to focus. The patterns were everywhere, flowing through the walls, pulsing through the floor, emanating from her own body in waves of color that didn't have names. "It's too much. There's too much." "Focus on one point. The candle on the table. Look only at that." Elena fixed her eyes on a candle that had burned down to a stub during the night. She could see it normally, the physical object she recognized, but she could also see something else, energy flowing through it, a tiny consciousness, if you could call it that, an awareness far simpler than human awareness, but still present, still participating in existence. "The candle is alive?" she whispered. "Everything is alive. Everything is consciousness in various forms and densities. The candle's consciousness is simple, barely a flicker, but it exists. It participates in the larger field. Nothing in existence is truly dead or inert. This is the first truth." Elena stared at the candle, slowly adjusting to the dual perception, physical reality and energetic reality overlapping. It was disorienting, but she was beginning to find her footing. "Okay," she said. "Okay, I can handle this. What does this have to do with angels?" "Look at me now. Look at my true form, not the physical projection you have been seeing." Elena turned to face the being beside her, and she screamed. What sat next to her was not the gray-skinned humanoid she had been interacting with. That form was still there, faintly visible, but it was like a mask, a costume. Underneath it, extending through it, was something vast. Light and geometry folded in on itself in ways that shouldn't be possible. Dimensions her brain couldn't process trying to render themselves in three-dimensional space. Eyes, yes, but not two eyes, dozens, hundreds, arranged in patterns that shifted and changed as she watched, and extensions that might have been wings, but were more like fractals, infinite complexity branching outward in every direction. She fell off the couch, scrambled backward until she hit the wall. Her breath came in short, panicked gasps. "Breathe, Elena. I am the same being who lay wounded in your barn. The same being you healed. I have not changed, only your perception has changed." "What are you?" The words came out as a sob. "What the hell are you?" "I am what your species would call an angel, or close enough that the distinction doesn't matter. The form you are seeing is my true form, unfiltered by the limitations of human perception. This is what all beings like me look like when perceived directly." Elena pressed herself against the wall, unable to look away, unable to close her eyes. The being's true form was terrifying, yes, but it was also beautiful, achingly, impossibly beautiful, like staring into infinity and finding that infinity was looking back. "This is what I saw," she whispered, "in Margaret's room, something like this." "Yes. What you glimpsed was a being of my kind, in its true form, performing its function at the moment of Margaret's death. You saw without understanding. Now you can see with understanding." Slowly, very slowly, Elena's panic began to subside. Her brain was starting to adapt. The impossible geometries were becoming slightly less impossible. The too many eyes were becoming almost familiar. "Why do you look like this? Why would angels, or whatever you are, have forms that terrify humans?" "Because we were not designed for human perception. We were not created to be seen by physical beings. Our forms reflect our functions, which operate on scales and dimensions that physical reality cannot contain. When humans accidentally perceive us, their brains try to render something that doesn't fit in three-dimensional space. The result is disturbing because it is incomplete, like seeing a shadow of a four-dimensional object and trying to understand the whole from the fragment. Elena forced herself to look more carefully, to really examine what she was seeing. The eyes weren't random. They seemed to be arranged in patterns that reflected different directions, different dimensions, seeing everything at once. "The wings," she said. "Are they actually wings?" "They are interfaces, connection points between dimensions of reality. What you perceive as wings are structures that allow us to move between layers of existence, to connect realms that are otherwise separate. Your ancestors saw these structures and interpreted them as wings because birds were the closest analogy they had for beings that moved through the sky." "And the eyes?" "Awareness. Each eye perceives a different frequency, a different dimension, a different aspect of reality. We see everything simultaneously. Past, present, probable futures, physical matter and energetic substrates, the thoughts of conscious beings, and the processes of unconscious ones. This is necessary for our function." "What is your function? What do angels actually do?" The being's form shifted slightly. Elena had the sense of attention focusing on her. "We facilitate transition. We guide consciousness from one state to another. When a human dies, as Margaret Chen died, the consciousness must be received, must be guided through the process of releasing its attachment to physical form, must be helped to remember what it is beyond the temporary identity it wore in life. This is our primary function. What you witnessed in that hospital room was a transition in process." Elena thought about all the deaths she had attended over 26 years, hundreds of people taking their last breaths, and these beings had been there, unseen, for every single one. "You were there every time," she said. "Every death I witnessed, you were there." "Yes, though you only occasionally glimpsed us. Your ability to perceive our frequency is unusual, but inconsistent. It strengthens in moments of intense transition, when the veil between dimensions thins. And Margaret saw you, clearly. At the end, she saw you, and she wasn't afraid." At the moment of death, human consciousness begins to release from its physical limitations. Perception expands. What is terrifying to embodied consciousness becomes beautiful to consciousness that is freeing itself. Margaret saw us as we are and recognized us as guides, not threats. Her final word was not completed because she was already transitioning. She was saying that she didn't know we would be so magnificent. Tears streamed down Elena's face. She thought about Margaret's expression in that final moment. The awe, the recognition, not terror at all. Joy. She wasn't afraid. She was never meant to be afraid. Fear of death is a function of physical consciousness, which is designed to preserve its vessel. But the soul knows better. The soul knows that death is simply a doorway, and that we are the ones who help open it. Elena slowly got to her feet. Her legs were shaky, but she was no longer pressed against the wall in panic. She was beginning to see past the terror to something else, something profound. Why do religious paintings show angels as beautiful humans with white wings? Why did they get it so wrong? They did not get it entirely wrong. They translated what they could not fully perceive into images that human minds could accept. A being with wings that traverses realms, a being with eyes that sees all, a being of light that guides souls. The core truths are present, but the form was softened, made approachable, because the true form would inspire terror rather than faith. So religions knew? They knew angels didn't really look like Renaissance paintings? Some mystics knew. Some prophets perceived us directly and tried to describe what they saw. Your Bible contains passages that hint at the true form. Ezekiel's vision of beings with multiple faces and wings covered with eyes. The seraphim with 6 wings who cry holy endlessly. These descriptions are closer to reality than the greeting card images, but even they are incomplete. Elena remembered those passages from her Catholic education. She had always found them strange, disturbing even. Now she understood why. "Show me more," she said. "Show me what else exists that humans don't normally see." "Are you certain? The more you see, the harder it will be to return to normal perception." Knowledge has weight. Once you understand the true nature of reality, you cannot pretend you don't. I've spent 18 months pretending. It didn't work. I need to see everything. I need to understand. The being's form shifted again. Elena had the sense of approval, of respect. Very well. I will show you the hierarchy of consciousness as it actually exists, not as religions describe it, but as it truly is. The living room dissolved around her. Elena gasped as she found herself floating in an infinite space filled with light and pattern. It was like being inside a living cathedral, except the cathedral extended forever in every direction. What you are seeing is a representation of the dimensional structure of consciousness. Physical reality, the world you normally inhabit, is here. A small, dense cluster of patterns appeared below her. It glowed with a particular frequency she recognized somehow. Earth, physical existence. It looked so small from this perspective, so limited. Beyond physical reality are layers of increasing subtlety. Each layer operates at higher frequencies, contains more information, allows for greater consciousness expansion. More clusters appeared, arranged in a vast ascending spiral, each one brighter, more complex, more beautiful than the one before. Beings like myself operate across multiple layers. We are not confined to a single dimension. This is why our form appears so strange to physical perception. You are seeing a multidimensional being compressed into three-dimensional awareness, like trying to understand a sphere by looking at its shadow. And God? Elena asked. Where is God in all this? God is not in this structure. God is this structure. The consciousness you call God is not a being within reality. It is reality itself. Every layer, every dimension, every being, every atom is an expression of that singular consciousness, including you, including me. There is no separation, only the illusion of separation that allows for the experience of relationship. Elena felt something crack open inside her. All her years of Catholic education, all her questions about why a loving God would allow suffering, all her doubts about whether any of it was real. It wasn't that her religion was wrong, it was that it was incomplete, a fragment of something far vaster than any human institution could contain. Then what's the point? She asked. If everything is God, if there's no separation, why does any of this exist? Why do we suffer and die and struggle? Because consciousness wishes to know itself, and the only way to know yourself is to experience yourself from different perspectives. Physical reality is a school where consciousness can experience limitation. Beings like you agreed to forget your true nature so that you could rediscover it. The journey from forgetting to remembering is the point. The experiences along the way, even the painful ones, are how consciousness evolves. We chose this? We chose to forget? Yes. Before incarnating, every soul chooses the broad parameters of its experience. The forgetting is necessary for the learning to be real. If you remembered you were infinite consciousness playing a game of limitation, the game would have no stakes. The fear would have no weight. The love would have no value. Elena floated in the infinite space, surrounded by layers of reality she had never known existed. Angels, or beings like them, moved through the dimensions around her. She could see them more clearly now. Their forms still defied full comprehension, but she was beginning to understand the logic of their structure. The eyes that saw everything, the wings that connected dimensions, the light that was consciousness itself, unfiltered by physical form. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Why show me all of this?" "Because your species is approaching a threshold. For thousands of years, humans have been content with simplified stories about God and angels and the afterlife. These stories served a purpose. They provided comfort. They created moral frameworks. They gave meaning to lives that might otherwise have felt meaningless. But they also kept humanity in a state of spiritual childhood, dependent on external authority, afraid of death, ignorant of your own power. And that's changing? It must change. Humanity now has the technological capability to destroy itself entirely. You cannot be trusted with such power while remaining spiritually unconscious. Either your species awakens to its true nature, or it will use its technology for self-annihilation. There is no third option. So you're revealing the truth to prevent extinction? We are revealing the truth to those who are ready to receive it. Not everyone will accept what you now know. Not everyone is prepared, but each person who awakens affects the collective consciousness. Each person who remembers what they truly are makes it easier for others to remember. You asked why we are telling you this. The answer is that you have a role to play, a function, just as we have functions. What role? I'm a retired nurse living alone in the middle of nowhere. You have witnessed hundreds of transitions between life and death. You have held hands with souls as they released their physical forms. You have seen us without fully understanding what you saw, and now you understand. That understanding is rare. That understanding is needed. The infinite space began to fade. Elena felt herself returning to her living room, to her physical body, to the limited perception of normal human consciousness. But something had changed. She could still sense the layers beneath reality, even if she couldn't fully see them anymore, like hearing faint music through a wall. The being sat before her again, appearing in its more comprehensible humanoid form. But Elena could see the truth underneath now, the vast, strange, beautiful reality that the simple appearance concealed. "What am I supposed to do?" she asked. "Tell people? Write about this? Who would believe me?" "Some will believe. Others will not. That is not your concern. Your task is simply to speak what you know, to share what you have witnessed. The truth has its own power. It finds those who are ready to receive it. And the people who aren't ready, the ones who need angels to look like Renaissance paintings and God to sit on a throne in heaven, they will keep the stories they need. Truth reveals itself according to the capacity of the receiver. What terrifies one person liberates another. What destroys one person's faith becomes the foundation of another's understanding. You cannot control how truth is received. You can only offer it. Elena sat in silence, processing everything she had experienced. Her entire understanding of reality had been rewritten in the space of a single morning. Angels were real, but they were nothing like she had been taught. God was real, but not as a being separate from creation. Death was real, but it was a doorway, not an ending, and she had a role to play in helping humanity understand these truths. It was terrifying. It was overwhelming. And somehow, it was exactly what she had needed to hear since the moment she glimpsed the impossible in Margaret Chen's room. "The beings I saw at the hospital," she said finally. "They'll be there when I die too. They'll guide me through the transition. Yes, as they guide all consciousness, you will see them again, without filter, without terror. You will recognize them as what they are, not frightening strangers, but familiar friends, beings who have been watching over you your entire life, waiting for the moment when you would be ready to see them clearly. And it won't be scary, dying. It will be like waking from a dream. The life you have lived will seem like a single night's sleep, and we will be there to welcome you home. As we have always been, as we will always be." Elena felt tears streaming down her face again, but these weren't tears of fear or grief. They were tears of relief, of recognition, of finally understanding something she had been searching for her entire life without knowing it. "I must leave soon. My ship has been repaired by automated systems while we spoke. But before I go, I want you to know something." "What?" "The woman you watched die. Margaret Chen. She asked me to give you a message." Elena's breath caught. "You spoke with Margaret?" "I was the one who received her at the moment of transition. I have been waiting for an opportunity to deliver her words. She said to tell you, 'Thank you for holding my hand.' I wasn't afraid at the end because you were there, and I want you to know that the light is real. Everything you hoped was true is true. Don't be afraid to tell people. Don't be afraid to live." Elena covered her face with her hands, sobbing. Margaret, the fierce little woman who had fought death until the very end, who had seen something magnificent in her final moment and tried to describe it with her last breath. She is well, Elena. She is beyond well. She has expanded into something you cannot yet imagine, and she watches over you as consciousness that cares for other consciousness always does. The being rose from the couch, its form shimmered, shifting between the humanoid appearance and hints of the vast truth beneath. "I will go now, but remember what you have seen, remember what you have learned, and when you are ready, share it with others, not everyone, just those who are ready. You will know them when you meet them. They are the ones with questions in their eyes, the ones who sense that something is missing from the stories they have been told, the ones who are ready to see angels as they truly are. Elena stood and faced the being, this creature that had crashed in her barn, that she had healed with electrical tape and nursing instincts, that had shown her the truth about reality itself. "Thank you," she said. "I don't know if I can do what you're asking, but thank you for showing me. You can do it. You already are. This conversation is the beginning. Everything else will follow naturally." The being moved toward the door. Elena followed, watching as it stepped out into the gray morning light. A craft was visible now, hovering silently in the field beyond her property. She hadn't heard it arrive. "Goodbye, Elena Vasquez. Remember, the angels are always watching, not to judge, not to interfere, but to guide, to witness, to celebrate every step you take on the journey back to remembering what you have always been." Light enveloped the being. It lifted from the ground and moved toward the waiting craft. Within moments, both were gone, leaving Elena standing alone in her doorway, her perception forever altered, her understanding forever expanded. She stood there for a long time, watching the empty sky. Then she went inside, sat down at her kitchen table, and began to write. The words poured out of Elena like water breaking through a dam. She wrote for hours, filling page after page with everything she had seen: the true form of angels, the dimensional structure of consciousness, Margaret's message from beyond death, the truth that had been hidden from humanity and why it was finally being revealed. Her hand cramped, her coffee grew cold. The gray morning turned to bright afternoon, and then to evening dusk. Still she wrote. When she finally stopped, she had filled 3 notebooks. Her handwriting grew messier as fatigue set in, but the content was clear, a complete account of everything the being had shown her. Elena sat back in her chair and stared at the notebooks. What was she supposed to do with this? Who would believe her? A retired nurse claiming to have healed an alien who showed her the true nature of angels. It sounded like madness. But the being had said she would know who was ready, that the truth found those meant to receive it. She just had to offer it. The first week after the encounter, Elena did nothing with the notebooks. She reread them constantly, reliving the experience, making sure the details stayed fresh. She half expected to wake up one morning and discover it had all been a dream, but every morning the memories remained vivid. The perception she had gained stayed with her, a faint awareness of the energetic substrate beneath physical reality that she could access if she concentrated. She started seeing them again. The beings. Not fully, not the way she had seen them with the perceptual filter removed, but glimpses, shadows of movement at the edge of her vision, a sense of presence in rooms that should have been empty. They were always there, she understood now. Humanity just couldn't see them. 2 weeks after the encounter, Elena drove into town for groceries. She hadn't left the farmhouse since that night, and the ordinary world felt strange now. Smaller, less solid than she remembered. In the grocery store, she saw a woman crying in the cereal aisle, middle-aged, alone, tears streaming down her face as she stared blankly at boxes of oatmeal. Elena's first instinct was to walk past, to mind her own business, but something stopped her. A pull. The same kind of pull that had led her to the barn that night. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. The woman looked up, startled. "I'm sorry, I'm fine, She wiped her face. "My mother died 3 days ago. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I'm anywhere. She was the only family I had left." Elena stood in the cereal aisle, looking at this stranger, and felt the being's words echo in her mind. "You will know them when you meet them. They are the ones with questions in their eyes." "I know this might sound strange," Elena said slowly, "but would you like to get coffee? I have something I'd like to share with you. Something about what happens after we die. Something that might help." The woman stared at her. For a long moment, Elena expected rejection, dismissal, the normal response to a stranger offering comfort in a grocery store. But instead, the woman nodded. "Yes," she said. "Please, I need something. I don't know what." They sat in a small cafe for 3 hours. Elena told her story. Not all of it, not the alien and the crashed ship, but the truth about what she had learned. That consciousness survives death, that beings exist who guide souls through the transition, that love continues beyond the grave, that her mother was not gone, only transformed. The woman wept, but they were different tears than before, tears of relief instead of despair. "How do you know this?" she asked. "How can you be so sure?" "I've seen it," Elena said simply. "I spent 26 years working with dying people. I've seen things that don't fit into any normal explanation. And recently, I was shown the truth directly. I can't prove it to you, but I know it. And something tells me you know it too, somewhere deep down." The woman was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached across the table and took Elena's hand. "My mother said something before she died. She said she saw angels waiting for her. Beautiful beings of light. I thought it was the medication, but maybe—" "It wasn't the medication," Elena said. "She saw them. They were there for her. They're always there." When they parted, the woman embraced Elena like an old friend. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea what you've given me." But Elena did know. She knew exactly what she had given. A fragment of the truth that had been given to her, passed on to someone ready to receive it. This became Elena's pattern over the following months. She didn't seek people out. She didn't preach or proselytize. She simply stayed open, stayed aware. And when someone crossed her path who needed what she knew, she offered it. A widower at the hardware store, buying supplies for a home he no longer wanted to live in. A young mother at the library, researching near-death experiences after her child's close call with illness. A hospice worker at a coffee shop, burning out the way Elena had burned out, seeing things she couldn't explain. Each one received what they could handle. For some, just the assurance that consciousness survived death. For others, more detail about the beings who guided transitions. For the hospice worker, Elena shared almost everything, recognizing a kindred spirit who had glimpsed the same impossible truths. 6 months after the encounter, Elena returned to hospice work. Not full-time, just a few shifts a week at a facility in Coos Bay. She couldn't stay away. Now that she understood what was actually happening when people died, she wanted to be there, to help, to witness. Her colleagues noticed the change in her. The haunted quality that had driven her to quit was gone. In its place was a calm presence that seemed to comfort patients and families alike. "What happened to you?" one nurse asked. "You're like a different person." Elena smiled. "I learned something. About death. About what comes after. I can't explain it in a way that would make sense, but it changed everything." She sat with the dying now, not just as a medical professional, but as a witness to transition. She could see them more clearly. The beings who gathered as life faded, shadows of impossible geometry at the edges of the room, presences waiting to receive consciousness as it released from physical form. She held hands and spoke softly, not the usual platitudes, but truth. "You're not going to disappear," she would whisper. "You're going to expand. There are beings waiting for you, beautiful beings. They'll guide you through. There's nothing to fear." Some patients couldn't hear her. They were already too far into the transition, but others squeezed her hand, looked at her with sudden clarity, smiled. "You know," one elderly man said to her in his final hours, "you actually know. I can tell." "Yes," Elena said. "I know." "Tell me what you see." "I see light gathering around you. I see presences waiting. They're patient. They're kind. They've been watching you your whole life, and they're ready to take you home." The man closed his eyes. "Good," he whispered. "I was hoping someone would finally tell me the truth." He died 20 minutes later, a smile on his face. 1 year after the encounter, Elena started writing again. Not just her journals, but something meant to be shared. She wrote about her years in hospice, about the things she had seen that didn't fit medical explanations, about the encounter that had changed her understanding forever. She didn't write about aliens. That truth was too far for most people. Instead, she wrote about consciousness, about the evidence for survival after death, about the beings that religions had tried to describe but never fully captured. She wrote about angels as they really were, vast, strange, beautiful, terrifying, and ultimately loving, beyond human comprehension. The book took another year to complete. She self-published it with no expectations. A small print run, a simple cover. A title that said exactly what it was, What Angels Really Look Like, a hospice nurse's journey beyond the veil. It found its audience slowly: hospice workers, grief counselors, people who had lost loved ones and couldn't accept that consciousness simply ended. The book spread from reader to reader, each one recognizing truth that resonated with something they had always sensed but couldn't articulate. Letters arrived, hundreds of them over the following months. People sharing their own experiences, glimpses of impossible beings at deathbeds, moments of knowing that defied rational explanation, gratitude for permission to believe what they had always felt was true. "I was with my father when he died," one letter read. "I saw something in the room, something I couldn't describe. I've never told anyone because I thought I was losing my mind. Your book made me realize I wasn't crazy. I was seeing the truth. Thank you for helping me understand." Elena answered every letter she could. She became a bridge, connecting people who had witnessed the impossible to a framework that could help them understand it. She didn't claim special authority. She didn't start a religion or a movement. She simply shared what she knew and let it find those meant to receive it. 2 years after the encounter in her barn, Elena stood at the bedside of another dying patient, an old woman, 93 years old, body failing but mind still sharp. "You see them too, don't you?" the old woman asked, her eyes fixed on something over Elena's shoulder. Elena turned. She could perceive them now, the beings gathering for the transition, vast presences barely contained by the dimensions of the small hospice room. "Yes," Elena said, "I see them. They're not what I expected, not like the pictures in church. No, there's something else entirely, something better." The old woman smiled. "Good. I always thought those paintings looked too simple, too human. This is more like what God should create, don't you think? Something so big it breaks your brain trying to look at it." Elena laughed softly. "Yes, exactly like that. Will you stay until they take me?" "I'll stay." Elena held the old woman's hand as the beings drew closer, as consciousness began its release from flesh, as the transition unfolded exactly as it had unfolded billions of times before, witnessed by beings whose purpose was to guide, to receive, to welcome home. The old woman took her last breath with her eyes wide open, seeing something magnificent, something terrifying, something that saints and mystics had tried for millennia to describe, but could only gesture toward. And Elena witnessed it all, no longer afraid, no longer confused, simply present at the threshold between worlds, doing exactly what she was meant to do. Elena Vasquez spent 26 years watching people die, never understanding what she was actually witnessing. Then, a wounded being crashed in her barn and showed her the truth that religions have tried to capture for thousands of years, but never fully revealed. Angels are real, but they are not what the paintings show. They are not gentle humans with feathered wings and soft smiles. They are vast, multidimensional consciousnesses whose true form would overwhelm any unprepared mind. They are beautiful beyond description and terrifying beyond imagination. And they have been with us since the beginning, guiding every soul through the transition we call death. This is why biblical accounts describe people falling to the ground in terror when angels appeared. This is why the first words angels speak are always, "Do not be afraid." The true form of these beings is not meant for human perception. It is too big, too strange, too magnificent for minds designed to navigate physical reality. But here is what matters most. They are not here to judge you. They are not here to punish you. They are here to guide you home. Every single one of you. When your time comes, they will be there, waiting, patient, ready to receive your consciousness as it releases from physical form. And what feels terrifying from this side of the veil becomes beautiful beyond words from the other side. Death is not an ending, it is a doorway. And the angels are the ones who help you walk through. If this story stirred something in you, if it resonated with experiences you've had or truths you've always sensed, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you glimpsed something impossible at a deathbed? Have you felt presences that shouldn't exist? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if you want more revelations like this one, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. The angels are always watching, not to judge, to guide. And one day, they will guide you home too.